But you did multiple.
I know. I know. Welcome to episode 16 of After Bedtime with Stevan
and Kelsey.
I'm going to call this episode the catch-up episode.
Okay.
So, I'm going to keep things short and punchy and straightforward. It's only been a week since we recorded last, and now we are both a year old. How's that work?
A year older.
A year older. How's that work?
What do you mean, how's that
Seems
work?
magical. A week goes by and we're both a year older.
I don't feel like that's how it works. Because I was older when we recorded this last week.
Sure. I wasn't gonna say that. My day sounded better.
Sorry.
All right. So, to get us caught up here, I thought this episode would be a good episode to do a retrospective of our lives. No, not like that. So what I thought was we could each share our biggest lesson learned, and you should share it in the time frame of the last year.
A big lesson learned in the last year?
Yeah, in the last year. Or because we just had our birthdays. We both had our birthdays, so it seems like a good topic to discuss.
I feel like you should have let me have more time to think about this.
Is that another way to say that you want me to go first?
Yeah.
All right, I'll go first. So I will start with, I'll just start with context with a story. So dang it, I can't use that because it's more than a year ago.
Oh, man.
No, actually I take that back. It's within a year. So a little more than a year ago.
It's a little more though.
But it's part of my year. It's part of my 26th year. Yeah, my 26th year of life. So it's relevant. It's it meets the requirements.
Okay. Since you're changing the rules of
I'm
the
just
game.
vamping here to buy you time until you think of what you're going to talk about.
Yeah, but see now what you're talking back at me like I am not doing this on purpose to give myself more time to think about what I'm supposed to say.
I'm so smart.
I am.
Yeah, you are.
You sounded like Yoda just then.
That voice.
Yeah.
All right, so a little more than a year ago, but I learned the lesson after this had all happened. But a little more than a year ago, I took a different job than the one that I have now. In the 3 months that I worked that job, I actually worked that job exactly 89 days.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But you realized the first week.
I would say I realized within the first 30 days. It wasn't a bad idea. Okay, so this is the lesson learned, is that and I'll just summarize and then I'll explain. So the short story is you never know what something is going to turn out to be, but it's much better to find out than to wonder.
Yeah.
So, and I took that lesson away from the whole scenario because I took this job thinking that the job was going to be better than the existing circumstance, which is why everyone takes a new job. So that's just kind of like stating the obvious. In particular, I thought it would be a good learning experience. I thought it would be more compatible with like long-term family goals, long-term career goals. And it turns out it wasn't. But if I didn't take the chance, if I didn't try it, then I would have spent a lot of time wondering about, well, maybe it would have been.
Yeah.
Right? So, because there was a big part of me when it all, like, fizzled out and I finally had to admit, like, this isn't working, I've got to go back to what I was doing before or find something different, there was a big part of it that was like, dang, like, I wasted all this time and I gave up. I was like, I was going to get a bonus, and I walked out on the bonus to take that job, and it was kind of like, all these things that I, like, missed out and gave up. And it was very easy to look at it as one big, huge mistake, which is, I'm sure some people could paint it that way. But for me, it was also, though, a really good experience to just to reinforce the fact that it was worth all that pain, because now I don't have the pain of the unknown. What would have happened if I had done that? And on top of that, it also was a really good learning experience because it taught me a lot about myself, what I'm capable of, what I like, what I enjoy, what I don't like, what I don't enjoy. It was just a very self-revealing experience. So that's my lesson learned from year 26 of my life. You don't want to have any wonder, so it's better to just take the risk, because most times worst case scenario is you just go back to the way things were before.
If it's still available.
Yeah, but you always like, I feel like that handcuffs a lot of people, because they're like, I don't want to give up what I have because I'm afraid of what it could turn out to be. But in 9 times out of 10, it's a very unlikely scenario where you can't just do something different or very few things are permanent and unfixable. Most things you can fix and work your way out of.
Yeah.
Did you come up with one?
No, not as good as yours.
Well,
I've had a lot of learning about myself and
nothing.
Nothing
comes to mind. Where
nothing like huge.
It doesn't have to be huge. It can be small. It can be anything. It can be just anything.
I don't know. I feel like this is a question that I should have been able to think about a lot more, because I feel like you had time.
I just wrote this list down 30 minutes before we started the podcast.
Okay, well, let's just show everyone that you didn't have time.
Well, I did have 30 minutes.
Good explanation.
Well, I kind of had the idea. Well, I had the idea of what I wanted to share, and that prompted the topic. So,
yeah.
I'm sorry, babe. It's on me. I messed up.
I don't really know. I feel like I've gotten better with handling my anxiety. I don't feel like quite as amped as I was.
Was there a particular moment or situation where
that I realized
where or you feel like helped you?
Well, to tell you the truth, a lot of the therapists and psychologists and all those people that have gotten onto TikTok who have been showing little videos of coping stuff has really helped me a lot. And I know that sounds very
so what?
Random and weird.
It doesn't sound random and weird. So in Steven's little head, he is going to summarize that by saying TikTok can help you with your anxiety.
If you follow those people, yeah.
That's lesson learned in 20.
I follow.
In Kelsey's 28th year is
TikTok helped my anxiety.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. It's kind of more of psychologists and.
Well, yeah,
help
but
my anxiety.
It sounds more culturally relevant to say TikTok because, everyone knows what TikTok is now. It's kind of in the buzz.
Yeah, and I also think that not necessarily that I can't handle it, because this happened within the past year. I've kind of realized that I'm not really the best person for a lot of kids after watching my sister's kids for so long and having my own kids. Maybe it's just more of like that many kids in that age group, all around the same age. I just mentally realized that I was not capable.
You don't want to be a mom of 5 children?
Under like 3, yeah, no, that does not sound fun to me. And I know as I'm probably explaining this, God will somehow like throw us a curveball or something.
No, don't say that.
But
I don't want a third kid.
no, I've realized.
And if we
that
do
I'm
have a
just
third
not,
kid in the future, I'm sorry that I said that.
that always irks me when everyone's like, "Oh, so you don't want any more kids?" I'm like, I hate saying that I don't want any more. I just like saying that I'm content.
Well, Lane was a mistake. Chloe was a mistake. Tyler was a mistake.
Yeah, technically Mom had
So,
too.
yeah. Sorry, guys.
Not mistakes. Happy accidents is what my mom has said
Unintentional consequences.
Yeah, so I would say that the biggest thing that I guess not necessarily like learned, but I've accomplished over the past year is acknowledging and realizing that I am having anxiety before it gets to the point of where I can't calm myself back down. I think I've done a lot better of realizing that I am feeling amped in some sort of way and using techniques of what I've learned through those people of helping calming myself down and also removing myself from situations that makes me anxious.
All right, so let's take it one step bigger. So one step larger, because I kind of constrained that topic to the last year of our lives. Okay, so what has been the most transformative? What's the most transformative experience of your life so far?
Oh my gosh.
Like, what experience did you have that it happened to you and you were like, on the other side of this, I am a different person and I have
childbirth.
That one's really easy for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a big. I would have to imagine that would have to rank up there. Like, obviously, you're not all of your identity is motherhood, but like I would guess for a lot of women would be.
Nobody can properly explain to you what happens and how you feel until you're in it.
There's no Lamaze class will not properly prepare you.
I personally don't think so. I think they can help you with coping stuff, but until you're like right in the middle of it, you just can't. Like, I've literally, and also I don't feel like people talk about it enough. I don't feel like a lot of people, or at least older generations, have felt comfortable talking about it. But people need to be made more aware of what happens in the situation. Like, it's not necessarily that, because I got very, very lucky and had it may not feel this way for you, I had two very easier pregnancy and deliveries than most people.
So though, it's not even just talking about it in the big picture, but like, tell that story. Like, because you had two.
Kyler's is totally different than Cal's.
I know, but which one was the transformative
Cal's.
one? Yeah, so what was that experience like?
Also, I didn't realize that it could be multiple days.
I'll start. Yeah, I'll start because
I didn't know it was going to be like, because I was legit in labor with Cal for 3 days.
This experience was not transformative for me. Or it was, sort of, but not in a huge way. It was just a wild experience. There was like 48 hours of just Kelsey writhing in pain on the floor.
I wasn't on the floor. What I mean by transformative is realizing that I'm a lot stronger of a person than I thought I was beforehand. I even now kind of like, even though I know it's extremely painful, but I almost kind of wish I would have just done it naturally with Cal because I had gotten so far.
I think those women are crazy.
Like, I'm not, I just am kind of curious if I could.
Like,
at this point,
not,
you
like,
know?
I don't really think those women are crazy. Like, kudos to people that do it, whatever way you want to do it. But
we have a friend that does.
I know, it's just, just like witnessing it from like a third person perspective. I can't imagine trying to do that all natural.
It made me feel a lot stronger than what I actually was. So the story is that I started, really it was like 2 days after my last day at work. Really, that day that I started going into labor was supposed to be my last day of work. I started having just like slight uncomfortable pain in my back. I had all back labor with Cal. It was never in the front. And just over time, it just increased and increased. But it wasn't necessarily like the pain increased. It's just the pain didn't give me a break.
What were you thinking?
Before when
this is happening, as it's on.
At first, I was kind of just like,
what is going through your mind?
Well, I was thinking it could be Braxton Hicks, and especially the first day, I was like, it's probably just Braxton Hicks. It's not.
You weren't like
happening.
You weren't like, I don't want to do this abort mission.
That night, I was like, part of my language, but I was like, shit's getting real. Like, it's happening. And then also, it's like very hard to explain to some women because all women are different. All of their labors are different. So everyone just kept telling me that time would get consistent, and then it would be able to, you'd go whenever it got to a certain time apart. My times were never consistent.
Yeah, I know that. What were you thinking when I kept telling you, like, because I remember like timing it and being like, nope, they're not. What was like 2 or 3 minutes?
It was defeating. It literally, no, it's because if I was 2 to 3 minutes apart, that would have been active labor. But mine was all over the place. And you were even getting frustrated because you were like, it's 5 minutes, it's 1 minute, that doesn't make any sense.
No, because like Kelsey is a rule follower. Kelsey believes that what people tell her is true, and she has trust in authority. And I have no trust in authority.
I'm like, that's what they said. They said it would be
100%.
Once you got 5 minutes apart, that's when you go.
Like, I'm totally that child, like, when the parents, like, yeah, Santa's coming. And I'm the child that's like, Santa's coming? Really? How can he get to all those houses? How's he carry all that stuff?
And I 100% live in La La Land, and I'm like, Santa's coming. I'm like 100%
that was my frustration, was because I was timing these things. And
I know, but I actually felt like you were getting frustrated with me because I'm like, dude, I don't know.
Well, I was getting a little frustrated with you because
you were like wanting me to tell you when to go, and I'm like, I don't know.
I was getting a little frustrated because it kept going. No, because I kept timing it. And you kept saying, like, you were in such bad pain, but the times weren't consistent. And I would tell you, like, well, that wasn't, those 2 or 3 contractions didn't have consistent spacing or whatever.
And that's why I was feeling defeated.
And so you were like,
I'm so weak.
And so you were like, well, I don't know what to do. They said not to come until they're blah, 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 blah. And that's when I kind of like hung up the phone in the situation. It was like, well, there's nothing we can do, Kels. You're just going to have to ride it out. I'm going to get some sleep.
I know, and like laying there in bed while he was sleeping next to me and me being in pain, I literally, you don't know this, but I literally for like 10 minutes just stared at you like this while you were sleeping because I was in so much pain and I was so irritated.
But like, you didn't want to do anything about it because the rules were the rules.
Well,
and
I mean,
I didn't want to force you to.
That was the truth though, because we went and they flat out were like, sorry, you're going to have to go home.
You know,
they watched us for like an hour.
You never, though, like, of all the things that I thought was going to happen, at no point in time did you ever, like, break down.
Because you can't.
I thought at some point you were just going to be like, I can't do this, blah, blah, blah.
I know,
blah.
and that's what I find so surprising is because that actually is much more my personality type of just getting so overwhelmed with everything that's going on. But what I've found is that in much more like serious situations, I tend to like hone in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, shit's getting real. We got to do it and work through it. So to go on with the story is I labored for one day. We went like the morning of the next day. They gave me an Ambien so that I could sleep because I didn't sleep that whole entire night because I was in on and off pain the whole entire time. I took it. My mom stayed home while you went to work.
I actually think the labor thing was a night. Went to the hospital early in the morning, like 5 o'clock in the morning. They told you weren't like where you needed to be for them to admit you. And at that point, that's when you were kind of like frustrated because I think I was in I felt like
I was in a lot of pain.
Yeah, and I don't think we hadn't slept the
night.
No,
because we went during a night because they told me that I was only at 1 centimeter. I think you're getting Kyler and Cal's mixed up together.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Maybe Anyways, I remember this, and then I go to work, and then, like, at 10 o'clock, you had went to your mom's after we left the hospital, and I went on to work.
Maybe I'm getting Cal and
Kyler's you're getting them mixed up. Because Cal's was a morning
thing.
Cal's
was a morning
because
thing.
You went back to your mom's house, and I think, were in the tub or something, and then...
No, we went to a night because they charged us for a room. On Kyler's, we went in the morning, and they only charged us for a room once because I came back that same day.
Anyways, I have it all on video, so if we ever need to check it, we can check it. But I remember that whenever we did the hospital thing, that's when like I was kind of like, oh my gosh, she's going to give up on this whole thing. But what changed the whole situation was because your mom was able to do something I was not able to do, which your mom finally was like, because you were at her house doing the same thing that we were doing at our house, where it was like 5-6 minutes, or, inconsistent times, and you were like, I don't know what to do, and your mom was finally like, we gotta go. We're just gonna go.
No. You can have that conversation with Mom. We both were waiting for the other one to tell us to go.
Entirely.
This is what happened. So I slept here, and Mom and Chloe said that I was even groaning through my sleep the whole entire time, even though I was passed out asleep. I woke up, or it was just Mom. Chloe wasn't there. Mom was like, well, why don't we go to my house? Because she has a jacuzzi tub. She was like, why don't you get in the jacuzzi tub? Maybe that will help. We go over there. She puts way too much bubbles in there because she's like panicking, but she's like trying to keep her cool, and there's like bubbles everywhere. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? And we bickered for like a bit, and then she was trying to feed me, and I'm like, woman, I can't eat. Like, I'm in so much pain. And she's like trying to be a mom. She's like to sustain me, trying to give me water. And I'm like, get away from me. I get in the tub. Sorry if this is TMI, but as soon as I sit down, I feel something like fall out. And I'm like,
yeah,
whoa.
Well, hold on, though. This is not a birth story. This should just be Kelsey's transformative story.
Okay, whatever. So then I get out, and then I finally look at my mom because I'm, like, defeated. And I'm like, can we just go? And she was like, yes. And she runs, and she grabs the bags, and we get in the car, and I can't walk in. And so they wheel me up, and the dude wheels me really, really fast, and blah, blah, blah. So I get up there, and I was so scared that they were going to tell me that I wasn't far enough, which later I found out because I was 39 weeks, they would have been able to keep me regardless. But so she's like checking me, and I'm like in tears because I'm like, she's getting ready to tell me that I'm nowhere near close and that I'm going to have to go home again. And she's like, Mom just gets there, and she was like, and I'm like, am I not far enough? And she was like, you're an 8, and you're almost 100% effaced.
8 out of like 50?
8 out of 10.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And no joke, as soon as she said that, I looked at Mom and I said, I'm a beast. Like, immediately after. And my mom was like, yes, you are. And then immediately after I said that, I looked to her and I started crying. And I was like, because they tell you once you get to an 8, you can't get an epidural. And I was like, can I not have an epidural now? And she was like, she goes, no, luckily the anesthesiologist is already on the floor. He was giving it to someone else, and he's already right outside your door. And he was like walking in as soon, and I literally, I love you, Stevan, but my mom knows this guy, and I 100% am in love with him because even Kyler's anesthesiologist was not as good as him. This guy made the pain go away within seconds.
When he left your room, though, he said in the hallway, he was like, I wasn't really 100% sure I was going to get it done in time.
Yeah. He told Mom that, too, because when I relaxed, he goes, like, he looked at me, he was like, what do you feel? I was like, the pain's gone. And he was like, no, it's not. And I was like, that was the tester shot. That wasn't even like the stuff. And I was like, it's gone. And my mom was like, she just opened her eyes for like the first time in the past 3 days.
So really, gone. the reveal moment was
when she told me that I was at an 8.
Yeah, you were.
Is when I realized that I was. It kind of gave me power in that moment because I was like,
I'm gonna guess because you probably had some reservations that you had the wherewithal to weather the pain through all the...
I was worried that I was going to be somebody who was too weak to handle the whole situation, and that was upsetting to me that I wasn't going to be able to do it.
But you knocked it out of the park. Because most women labor through all those, but they labor through with assistance.
Yeah,
with the epidural or whatever.
Yeah.
Like at a 4 or 5 or whatever.
Well, normally you have to get an epidural before you're at an 8.
That's awesome, babe.
Yeah.
Done
I was
good.
very impressed with myself. And then Kyler was like totally different. It was like half the time. And
so do you feel like that gives you more confidence even now, today?
Yeah, I feel much stronger just as an individual. Because, I mean, growing up, I was the weak little kid that got hit once and I'd start crying and flailing and... Like, I just was the weaker sibling.
Well, like, I would even say, like, I would think of you as not having a high pain tolerance.
I know. A lot of people say that, and that's also what was so shocking to my mom whenever she did say I was at an 8. My mom was like, whoa, game changer. Because I am 100% the crybaby out of my siblings. Maybe not the younger ones, but the...
I don't really think that, like... I can't really offer a story to compete with childbirthing, Kelsey.
Well, I couldn't really compete. Fair. I couldn't compete with your life-changing job a second ago. So it's okay that mine topped yours.
You could have reassured me and been like, it's not a competition.
It is.
Everything is a competition to you. You're like the least competitive, most competitive person.
That makes no sense.
Like, if the competition is publicly known, then like Kelsey's not there. But if like the competition's kind of like understated, kind of not really out there, and she wins, she's like, yeah, in your face. It's the pressure. It's like the pressure of the competition you don't like, but the winning of the competition you love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that's funny.
That's why when she told me I was at an 8, I was like, I'm winning. I'm winning this labor stuff. Yeah. So that was life-changing for me. At least that's the first thing I can think of.
29 years. Laboring to an 8.
29 years.
Out of
out
all your life.
Years.
That was one of the most...
I get it.
That was what the question was.
I get it now. I'm sure there's others, but that's the biggest one to me, is it made me realize how strong I actually was.
Now what should we talk about?
You don't have anything life-changing over the 27 years?
Obviously mine are not anywhere as significant as yours, because you are bringing life forth to the world. But if I had to... Okay, so I have 2. One is kind of... Both are along the same lines as yours, though. They share that same thematic of they were transformative because they reveal capability that you thought you didn't have.
Mm-hmm.
So physically, surviving 2-a-days in football in Missouri weather, physically, it's transformative because it's one of those things like if you go through it and you survive it or you excel in it.
You shouldn't just say Missouri weather. It's Missouri summer.
Missouri summer, like 100-degree days, 5 or 6 or 7 days of 2 days, how many ever days it was. You come out on the other side and like unless you like go into the military or special selection training or something, that there's probably going to be a few times in your life where you like experience that level of physical duress and are required to perform at some level. So it kind of builds your confidence that like, yeah, if I can deal with this, I can get through this. Most other things physically in life are going to be pretty much a cakewalk. By contrast, which is kind of like with a lot of experience. That's, I feel like, how those experiences are transformative because they shift your reference. Like before you thought you were capable of this, you did something you had no idea you could do. Now everything is like measured in reference point to that thing. Mm-hmm. The second one that's less physical, it's more like kind of like just mental, was prior to now, I had a small business where I coached and trained people on like how to eat better and how to exercise, and that small business had this really crazy origination story where I was kind of like, I was employed as a trainer, but then I was kind of like training people on the side also. And it was just, that was, the on the side stuff was never intended to be like its own fledgling thing. It was just, these people couldn't afford to be members at the gym I was training at and pay for personal training. So we had just arranged I would help them with personal training. Anyways, what ended up happening was one day I pull up to the place that I'm training these people out of, and I have this arrangement with the owner of this business that leases these warehouses, and basically this small little business is imploding, having all this drama, and like I pull up, and basically the arrangement I had is no longer valid because the person I have the arrangement with is no longer part of the business, and I have like 10 or 11 paying customers that are expecting to train with me and have paid and all this stuff, and I don't have any of the proper business things in place, and so literally in like must have been like a matter of 7 days, I got liability insurance, I signed a lease, I negotiated square footage for the lease, like I did all this like all these things that people would normally like do over months of planning. I basically did kind of fire sale style under duress and necessity to basically not leave people that were counting on me high and dry. And that was just because like it's one of those things that you don't even know where to go or how to get it or where to do it until you start doing it. Like, wow, I can figure this out. Like, I cannot know anything.
It's not as scary as what I initially thought it was.
Exactly. It's not as big bad thing that I thought it was going to be. Or you find out I can tackle things. If I apply myself, I can figure it out. That's actually, I heard there was a quote I heard, or a phrase I heard someone talk about where it said, sometimes you have to be stupid enough to start something, but brave and persistent enough to finish those things. So it's kind of like if you knew all the difficulties and challenges and frustrations you would have to overcome in the process of doing all these things in your life, you probably wouldn't do them.
Yeah.
You almost need a little bit of ignorance about the realities, because it's like if you would just avoid all that pain, but because you're ignorant, you start it, and because now you're in it, you just kind of push through it. It's like You're invested. You're not going to give up.
Yeah, but I would say think of that mindset and then me in labor. It's like it's happening.
But it's the same. Like I kind of thought of it when I heard that. I heard it from Conrad Anker, who's like a world class. Was it Conrad Anker? I think it was him in a podcast. He's like a world class mountaineer person. Basically, just saying like those are the words he used, but it really made me think of like parenting. It made me think of small business ownership. It made me think of like planning a wedding or getting married. Like if you knew all the crap that was going to fall upon you, you just wouldn't do it. Like if you knew how challenging it was being a parent of a kid, you probably would put it off for a long time. But because you don't know totally all the ins and outs of it and all the challenges, and you're just kind of thinking of like all the highlights, you jump in 2 feet. You go for it. So those are my stories.
So then you're saying me broadcasting how hard labor is going to scare people from doing it?
It might. I mean, I don't know. I guess people won't not do it, but maybe there is a benefit to being ignorant.
I 100% when I was in the middle of it, I was just like, nobody told me any of this. Like I felt very underprepared.
I feel like that should be like the motto for like life.
Nobody told me about this.
Any of this. Like,
it's just adult life in general.
Yeah,
you're kind of just walking around and you're like,
that sums it all up right there. It's like, why didn't anyone tell me about this? I think that about money all the time. I'm like, why did no one tell me about saving my monies? Or investing my monies. Why did nobody tell me about how crappy student loans are?
Yeah.
Why did everyone tell me how good they were and why you have to take them and you got to get a degree? Why did no one talk to me about the negatives of these things?
Yeah, but I also don't think that a lot of people view a lot of stuff as negative.
Yeah. They're gonna the information or the perspectives they share are from
their life experiences.
Yeah. And that colors all. That's actually a huge lesson I learned. But I learned it, I don't know when I learned it, but it was a very big realization for me that people are always going to offer advice to you through the lens.
Which I think that's funny that you say that, because you were just like at the beginning of this podcast, you were like, I'm the questioner, blah, 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 blah. But then you just are like...
I became more of that. So I think I always had that thing in the back of my mind, but I thought that like I kind of had some trust.
Yeah.
But I think as I went through life and I saw like it doesn't always really work like that, as people try to portray it to you. I
more of just realized that the people I thought had their shit together, nobody has their shit together.
Yeah. But I started, like, even my parents, like, when my parents offered me, even today, when my mom, my dad, or whoever offered me advice, I always stopped to think, okay, through what lens is that advice being offered?
Yeah.
So that way I can process and understand, is it really applicable to me in
your situation?
My situation, how I see the world, my values. I kind of filter, I filter it better than I previously did. That was all I had for this podcast to get us caught up.
Ruh-roh, George.
Well, we don't have to. This is a catch-up podcast. We don't have to go the full hour because we'll record another one tomorrow night.
Okay.
Do you want to keep talking?
Okay. No, I just didn't know we were gonna do it again until like tomorrow.
Well, we have to get caught up here.
Well, I mean, do we?
Yes. We made a commitment, and we must honor the commitment.
To our thousands of followers.
To our loyal thousands of followers that are hanging on our every word, waiting for us to publish our next podcast episode.
Because we've had a lot of inquiries.
Lots. People have been DMing me all the time on Instagram, like,
now I get,
when's your next one? Why'd you miss it? You didn't
like
upload
random like ads to my Instagram now, and I'm always like very curious if if it's because of this or if it's just like some other random.
You should DM them back and be like, hey, what's up? How'd you find
I don't add them.
What?
Because I'm still like really nervous to just add random people.
We're over here saying, find us on Instagram.
No, you're
DM
over
us.
here that's like, find us on Instagram.
Oh, okay, well, then I'm going to moderate my closing.
I don't 100% feel comfortable just yet.
This has been a great episode 16. I hope you guys really enjoyed these stories and this conversation. I feel good being 27. Feel a little old. But I also have perspective that, like, I'm going to probably, hopefully, fingers crossed, live for, like, another 2 or 3 times that. So.
Which just a sidebar. This, right.
I'm trying to wrap it up.
I know. I just want to say this one last thing. Cal.
I got Call of Duty to go play.
Cal is not agreeing to the fact that I am older than Stevan. No matter how many times we say that that's how it is, he's not willing to accept it.
It's so funny because he makes the face you make.
Like,
yes,
you're lying to me.
But he makes that face and he doesn't say anything back to you.
No,
so
but he stares you down like you are 100% lying to me right now.
I 100% disagree with you. You're wrong.
Yeah.
But we can agree to disagree here.
No, it's not even we can agree. It's like we'll put a pin in it, and then when we come back, then I'm gonna prove you that
exactly
I'm right.
what you do. And he did it to me this morning.
I know.
When we were in the kitchen.
Because you were looking at me
I was like,
believe this kid?
Yeah, because I was like, mom's
100%
older than me. And then when I asked him,
Stevan is older.
When I asked him again, he goes, he pointed at me because I asked him again.
You, bro?
Yeah, you're older. And I was like, and he's like, I was just like, this is so.
I can't figure out why. Like, the only thing
Kelsey's genes are so strong, they just like insert into the DNA and they overexpress against all the other genes.
No, it's just because my genes are a lot like, more than yours are, so you just see them more often. Episode
16 has been a success, and we really hope you enjoyed it because we know y'all are waiting to hear it. Mm-hmm. And DM me, find me on Instagram. You can follow me, add me, and I will let you follow me because my account's public. And if you DM me, I will respond. Don't worry about Kelsey, though. She's not interested in any followers.
No, that's
so
not
it's all
true.
Good.
I am still having that,
My Instagram is @steven.freeborn. Let me know what you guys thought of the episode, and then I'll tell Kelsey what you guys think. Kelsey's Instagram is @kfreeborn412. Thank you guys for listening. Kelsey, is there anything else you want to say?
Nope. That's all, folks.
All right. Till the next one.
Good night.